Hello everyone, welcome to back my channel. I hope everyone is having a wonderful day. Before starting the video, please go ahead and hit the subscribe button and give this video a thumbs up. At Forrester Creations, the fashion show continues on the runway as the influencers and Christine from Genoa City look on, all smiles. Backstage, Ivy, Steffi and Carter enthuse about how great everything looks. Donna and Katie tell Eric that Brooke is getting into her glam to model the showstopper. Eric wants Ridge to remember who he is with Brooke. He wants them to get back together. Donna says nothing will stop her from getting up on that stage. In the locked room, Brooke exclaims to Taylor that this is a vault, it locks from the outside. Taylor didn't bring her phone, so they're trapped. Brooke rants that this just proves her point. You have no business here at Forrester Creations. Backstage, Steffi reminds the models to really sell the fragrance out there. Katie does a voiceover reminding the crowd of the new product. Zend and Will gush about how much the crowd is feeling it. Will looks over at Electra and grins. Meanwhile, the audience members breathe in the scent created by Daphne Rose. In the locked room, Brooke rants at Taylor that this is a very important day for her and Forrester Creations. Taylor wonders why she's in a robe. Brooke pounds on the door and calls for someone to get her out of there. Help. On the runway, the action continues with gold and green gowns on display. Backstage, Zend says, "Great show, Grandad." He thinks it's some of his and Ridge's best work yet. Eric appreciates him staying with the company when the coup occurred. Zend admits it was hard, but it was his duty. Eric tells him he's making his mark out there today too. They agree to celebrate later, and Zenda walks off. Eric asks Electra and Will to look for Brooke since the showstopper is up soon. Meanwhile, Steffi asks Ridge if he's seen her mom. In the locked room, Taylor can't understand why Brooke's freaking out so much. Is she claustrophobic? She didn't do this on purpose and isn't thrilled about it either. Brooke would like to get along and be friends, or adults, for the sake of the kids and grandkids. Taylor thinks it's important for her to be honest about betraying Ridge. A day like this might not have happened again. Every time he looks at her, he's reminded of how she made him feel. I don't think there's one thing you could do to make Ridge see you differently again. Brooke smirks knowingly. Brooke keeps pounding on the door and calling out. Taylor wants to know if she'll ever give up on Ridge. Brooke says he still calls her his Logan. Taylor doesn't want him calling her that anymore. Brooke looks at the video feed and realizes it's almost time for the showstopper. She resumes pounding on the door and hollering. Backstage, Will and Electra tell Katie that Brooke's gone missing. They've looked everywhere. They head off to find her. Meanwhile, Carter, Ridge, Steffi, Zend, and Daphne watch the runway, and Ridge and Carter talk about how happy they are they've made peace. Ridge goes to give his dad a hug, but Eric admits he's worried. I'm worried about the showstopper. In the locked room, Brooke tells Taylor that Ridge needs her. Taylor says he's busy and isn't thinking about her. Brooke snaps, he will be. Katie, Electra, and will arrive outside the door and realize Brooke is in there. The blonde hollers that Taylor locked her in there. Katie promises they'll get her out. Charlie shows up and rants that this is a secure area. Katie tells him her sister's locked in the vault. Charlie comes up with the key and Katie lets Brooke out. In the backstage area, Eric tells Ridge to go talk to the audience while he finds the showstopper. Katie waves Eric over. Ridge was out on the runway and thanks everyone for being there. Behind the scenes, Donna, Katie, and Eric get Brooke into the showstopper. Eric tells the blonde she's stunning. Ridge is going to feel the same way he always has. She thanks him. He tells her, go on. On stage, Ridge is telling the crowd they may have to cut the show short when Brooke steps out behind him on the runway. He recalls Brooke in Portofino as he marvels at her in the white gown, shakes his head and marvels. Brooke holds out her hand and he runs up to take it. Behind the curtain, Taylor watches the two of them together with dismay. The Forrester Creations fashion show had always been a highly anticipated event in Los Angeles, a glamorous celebration of fashion, creativity, and drama. Tonight, however, it wasn't just the stunning designs that would steal the spotlight. It was the rivalry between Taylor Hayes and Brooke Logan. Two women, two very different personalities, and a shared history that neither could forget. Both were central to the Forrester world, with their complicated relationship with Ridge Forrester being an ever-present undercurrent. But on this particular evening, a new twist would emerge that would leave both women questioning their future. The atmosphere at the fashion show was electric. The models strutted down the runway in dazzling outfits designed by Forrester's finest. The music pulsed, the lights flickered, and the crowd of elite guests murmured in excitement. At one end of the room, Taylor stood talking with some colleagues, trying to remain poised and professional, while Brooke lingered nearby, a quiet storm brewing behind her perfectly composed exterior. Ridge, standing next to his ex-wife Brooke, glanced around the room. His usual confidence was replaced with a slight discomfort as he noticed Taylor, elegant as ever in her navy blue gown, scanning the room. Ridge had been on a roller coaster ride of emotions for months, torn between two women he had loved deeply at different points in his life. And tonight, it was becoming clear that the storm between them was far from over. Ridge's eyes met Taylor's across the room, and though neither spoke, the tension was palpable. The opening act, Brooke's move. As the show progressed, Taylor found herself unable to keep her eyes off Brooke, who had taken up a spot in the center of the room, positioned to draw attention. She stood there, chatting with some of the other high-profile guests, but Taylor could tell that something was off. Brooke's smile was a little too polished, her gestures a little too deliberate. Taylor had known Brooke for years, and it didn't take long for her to realize that the calm exterior was just a facade. Something was brewing, something that Brooke had planned for the perfect moment. Brooke had been waiting for this. She'd been patient, letting Ridge navigate his feelings for both women. For a long time, she had stepped back, allowing Taylor the space to make her move, all the while keeping a watchful eye on the situation. But tonight, Brooke had decided it was time for action. When the final walk of the show arrived, with the models showcasing the latest couture, Brooke made her move. She excused herself from the group she was chatting with, a purposeful sway in her hips as she approached the front of the runway. Ridge stood nearby, engrossed in the show, unaware of Brooke's silent strategy. Taylor noticed Brooke's every move. The confrontation. Brooke approached Ridge with her trademark confidence, standing just a few feet away from him. The moment was charged, almost electric. Ridge turned to face her, his expression softening. "Brooke," Ridge greeted her, offering a small but genuine smile. "What are you doing here? I thought you were mingling with the others." Brooke's eyes sparkled. "I was just waiting for the right moment. The show is wonderful, as always." Ridge chuckled. "I'm glad you're enjoying it. You know, Taylor did such a great job putting it all together." Brooke's gaze shifted subtly to where Taylor was standing. Her voice lowered to a tone of quiet intensity. "She's done well, but we both know that things aren't as perfect as they seem." Ridge frowned slightly. "What do you mean?" Before Brooke could respond, Taylor was by their side, her arrival almost predatory. Her sharp eyes scanned the situation in an instant. "I believe what Brooke means is that some things are better left untouched," Taylor said, her voice cool, but with a subtle undercurrent of heat. Brooke gave a small laugh, the sound not quite as warm as usual. "Well, I don't agree with that, Taylor. Sometimes things need to be stirred up." There it was. Brooke was clearly making a move, and she wasn't going to back down. Taylor's heart raced, but she kept her composure, unwilling to let Brooke see how deeply her words affected her. Ridge could sense the tension between them, and he did nothing to diffuse it. If anything, it seemed like he was waiting to see how the confrontation would unfold. Brooke, sensing her moment, took a step closer to Ridge, her hand casually grazing his arm. "Ridge, darling, you've been so caught up in all of this. Maybe you need to remember what really matters." Taylor's gaze darkened. "What exactly are you suggesting, Brooke?" Her voice was a low, measured whisper, but the venom in it was unmistakable. Brooke smirked. "I'm just saying that you may have forgotten the people who really care about you. Maybe it's time to remember." Ridge stood still, torn between the two women, unable or unwilling to choose. He glanced at Taylor, then at Brooke, his inner conflict visible on his face. He knew he was standing at a precipice, and whatever choice he made would change everything. Taylor's struggle. Taylor's heart pounded as she took in the full meaning of Brooke's words. She had spent years building a life for herself, one that didn't depend on Ridge or on anyone else. But now, in the midst of this moment, all of her carefully constructed walls felt like they were crumbling. She had been the strong one for so long, the one who kept her head up no matter what. But tonight, Brooke's words had cut through her defenses, leaving her vulnerable in a way she hadn't expected. "You think you can just waltz in here, after everything that's happened, and tell me what I've forgotten?" Taylor's voice trembled for a split second, but she quickly regained her composure. "This isn't just about Ridge, Brooke. It's about us, about who we are and who we want to be. You can't control that." Brooke's lips curved into a knowing smile. "I don't need to control anything, Taylor. All I'm saying is that you need to wake up. Ridge has always been a part of my life, and I intend to keep it that way, whether you like it or not." Taylor's eyes narrowed, and for a moment, the room seemed to close in around them. The sound of the applause from the fashion show faded into the background. All that mattered now was the battle of wills between her and Brooke. The air was thick with unspoken words, with a history that neither woman could deny. "You don't get to come here, to this event, and make a spectacle out of our lives," Taylor said, her voice barely above a whisper, but with deadly precision. "I won't let you manipulate the situation any longer. If you want to fight for Ridge, then do it on your own terms. But you won't use me or my career against him." Brooke stepped back, her eyes flashing with a mix of amusement and annoyance. "You're deluded, Taylor. You always have been. But that's okay, we'll see how this plays out." The moment of truth. Ridge watched them both, his heart heavy with the weight of the unspoken words that hung between the two women. His gaze shifted from Taylor's fierce defiance to Brooke's calculating smile, and for a moment, he felt utterly lost. The truth was, he had never been able to fully let go of either of them, and tonight had made it painfully clear that neither woman was willing to back down. "Enough," Ridge finally said, his voice firm. He reached out, placing a hand on each of their shoulders. "We're not doing this tonight." But his words came too late. The damage had already been done. As the fashion show came to an end and the lights dimmed, both Taylor and Brooke left the venue in different directions. Ridge, standing alone in the middle of the room, couldn't shake the feeling that something had shifted in a way that he couldn't undo. In that moment, the rivalry between Taylor and Brooke had been reignited, not just for Ridge's affections, but for their own sense of self. The night was far from over, and the true battle was only just beginning. Thanks for watching this video, and please subscribe our Boldy and BEAUTIFUL UPDAT YouTube channel for more update news.